My name's Alec Rubalcava. I'm from Palm Springs, California. My birth certificate says Riverside, but I'm definitely like a kid from Palm Springs. ITY stands for finding ways to give back to the community. The bigger picture of ITY is from I to you, and just vice versa. When people find things that they're interested in, we hope that they share them with us. And for me to be able to share things, whether it's like fashion, music, food, events, different things that we could just give back to the community, is that's what ITY represents, is finding ways to just give back. ITY was inspired from our first company called Cloud9 & Company. When it started, it was in the heat of streetwear. Everybody had a streetwear company. This was when Fairfax was just barely starting to become like a global phenomenon, or like around the world with streetwear. Me and a buddy had started it like fresh out of high school, and it started from printing t-shirts on blanks and going to janky ass embroidery companies that charge like 6 dozen minimum, to us going to factories and looking at these companies put out like 1,000 minimum piece orders for like Billabong and Rust and things like that. And we found out we were in over our head, so we kind of like went back to the drawing board, and we wanted to start a community. We didn't know how to brand it or anything of that nature, so we came to like a cohesive idea of ITY somehow. Once ITY started, my partner had dropped out. It was just me for a while, and another homie hopped in, wanted to branch out with ITY and start, taking the steps to go where we are now. What inspires ITY is our community, things that we're surrounded by, and I think just like the times that we're currently in, we just find ways to have that come full circle with like our inspiration. Repurposed goods, I think it's the easiest way to find like our niche. I think it's better for like the environment. Nowadays with like the fashion industry, everything kind of just goes to waste. A lot of stuff gets, taken back to thrift stores and things like that. So I think repurposed goods is like the easiest way to find something we like, throw our own spin on it, and then just find ways to give it a new home. I think taking one person's trash and making it treasure is just like the dopest thing in general. And then if you could find a piece that will be like personable for somebody, it's just that much easier to make a connection. I think nostalgia is a big vessel for our company. We definitely like tap in things from like the 90s, or just things that we might think is dope. If we could find that to give like a new home to somebody, I think that's like some of the dopest shit that we could do. I think nostalgia like plays like a big part in just the company in general. Like, like just music in general, and fashion's gotten kind of all over the place lately. I think back to like the streetwear times, like Nick Diamond's played a big part in like my inspiration. Sean Weatherspoon, obviously, with like Round 2. He's kind of like the thrift guide in all of this. And Joe Freshgoods is a big inspiration. And then, I don't know, even like people out here, like there's a lot of dope fashion out here that I kind of like just watch from afar and try to let that inspire me with my picks and things like that too. Like the bigger idea is just to find a way to get pieces to kids who may not have like the means to maybe afford it, or even have like the avenues to get to it. If I could just find ways to keep it as organic as possible, then naturally it'll just gain its own kind of respect. And yeah, I think respect from the Valley isn't a big thing for me, because I just know, and I don't know why, but this valley has like a big like crab in a bucket kind of mentality, where if somebody starts doing something, Like they gotta find a way to like bring them back down in the bucket rather than find ways to get everybody out the bucket as a whole. So if there's a way that I could bridge the gap between like the west side of the valley and the east side of the valley and find a way for the greater good to get represented, then I think the respect will come naturally and organically. So I think that's like the biggest thing for me, is not to worry about the respect that is maybe earned, but just find ways to give back to the community and get that kid who wants to get fresh, and just find a way to, you know, just hook them up in general, you know. I think that's a big thing when I was growing up, was to find a way to get fresh with the lowest means. And yeah, man, I think if I could do that, then the respect will naturally come. The ultimate goal with ITY is find a way to have a space for creatives and just people in general to be able to like express themselves. There's not a lot of like avenues in this valley for kids that want to do something outside of the norm, whether it's like go to school or like just pick up a hammer and start working, or even just like not become a part of the streets. I like to think of it as like the Boys and Girls Club for like adults and creatives, or just maybe even teenagers. It's like a place to come and just culminate their skills and artistic direction and be able to express themselves in some type of space like that, like community center, where people could either like shoot photography or, you know, have like an art space set up, or even like places to have pop-ups with like food or like coffee shops, things like that. Just some type of venue or some type of thing where people could come together and just have some type of outlet. You know, I think that's important. So in between like the ages of 18 and 21, there's not much for people to do out here. So if we could find some type of community center for people to be able to express themselves, I think that's like the bigger picture of ITY, is to have some type of umbrella and then have things fall under it to where they could just find ways to give back. And just shout out to anybody in this valley trying to get it, or just in general, like in this crazy ass world. I think it's important for people to just keep their head down and work on their shit, and then find ways to let it like bloom and blossom. So anybody who's just like doing something for the greater good, like shout out to you guys. Shout out to this valley, everybody getting it. Shout out to my mom, my dad, my family, my grandma, and shout out to all the fucking haters too. You guys need to get that hate out your heart. And then once that happens, dog, we could all just live in love and harmony, enjoy this tranquil environment. Shout out to the coronavirus too. You're the best, worst thing that happened in this world.